What's up, people, boys, girls, my dudes? Uh, yeah. Today, I don't know why today is such a tough. I don't know why today is such a tough day. I thought I was in a better mood, and then I turned on the camera, and I was not. Um, Unfortunately. Um, I wanted to talk about things that you can never undo. Perhaps that's not a very common thing. But once you try things, people will talk about being addicted to things, whether it's mentally or chemically addicting. Um, but even so, perhaps like past this is like the concept of trying something for the first time that you can never undo. Um, Kind of like, I think maybe I can think of maybe around six things in my life that I have tried that I can't go back and delete those memories, right? There's something that to some extent I'll crave to some uh I'll crave probably forever, even though I shouldn't have them, right? Whether that might be some illicit substance or like alcohol, or a feeling of true like understanding and companionship, or like maybe the love of somebody who has like BPD. Um, like those things are kind of like you can't backtrack from that. And I think there are things that will permanently damage us as people, um, that we kind of take for granted in terms of wanting certain experiences. Um, a really, really good example is there is a psychedelic upper substance that is referred to as Molly. And that substance, the first time you try it, is an absolutely fantastic experience, um, as I understand it. I myself don't do any kind of psychedelics ever, or any hallucinogens or anything like that. I suppose I've witnessed too much of it to ever be tempted in that direction. If you talk to people that do Molly specifically, they'll always be like, "Hey, the first time you do it is crazy. Like, have you never done it? Have you never tried it?" Um, it is very important, I think, that you pick carefully what you choose to try and what you do try versus what you don't try. Um, for example, the companionship of somebody who is basically a soulmate, right? You can never undo that once you feel it, but that's probably okay, right? That's something to where you're probably looking for that long term, and it's probably not going to destroy your world, by experiencing it. Just because you don't have it for a certain amount of time doesn't mean you'll never get it again, and getting it again doesn't mean your world is going to explode. On the flip side of that, if you are, let's say you do some kind of criminal activity, right? There are certain responses from other people that you will never be able to experience again as a law abiding citizen. If you do everything as you should, you dot your I's and cross your T's, if you're always on your P's and Q's, you will never feel the fear or respect that you once had. Um, I suppose that's a very addicting thing too. You can't ever go back. Um, and that is a very, very, very difficult thing to go through. But on the same token, the experiences that one might get from being feared, for having a complete control over another person or another group of people, um, the feelings you may have for ruining lives, right? Because at the end of the day, it's almost like you're playing God. um, that feeling of power and excitement, um, how would you ever replicate that in your day-to-day life? um, Extremely difficult. uh, but just being able to have had that power at a certain point will also change you as a person, right? It will make your decisions that much sharper. You'll have a more intimate knowledge of how people work. um, so when you're looking at things that are perhaps going to feel too good, um, you have to think to yourself, okay, can this be sustainable? Is this worth the price? For me, when I was more uncouth, we'll call it, when I was less civilized, perhaps, um, I loved every second of it. It was great. And now I can probably never have that again unless I, completely go off the rails. But as a tax-paying like member of society, it's never again something that will come up in my life. Um, and it didn't make me who I am, but I loved it. And I think to some extent, I don't know if I would have been able to live life normally without some kind of taste of that. I think I knew it was there, even though I didn't know what it was. Where on the other hand, there are like tools people use to escape. That could be like an illicit substance, for example. That could be like porn, something like that. And right, that would be like a very that would be like a high tier like dopamine production, but on the same token, not sustainable and not something that's going to like keep you going long term. Um, that type of stuff is just gonna like collapse your life over time. And even if by some miracle you beat the urges of what is essentially like a chemical addiction on top of a habitual addiction, um, you'll always be wondering how you can go back to it, right? You can never get like that type of like dopamine factory high that you can get from like a substance or some kind of like pathway connection. You'll never be able to find that elsewhere, right? You're gonna have to wait for those pathways to like close or shrink. And if you ever slip up again, they just open immediately. Um, Dangerous stuff. Trying things and realizing that you can't ever untry them. You can ever Men in Black yourself and just just like pen them away. Um, but then again, like all of these things are also going to build your character. Uh, Generally, people who are the most skilled and experienced um, that can be a leader of men, I suppose. Those types of people are people that have been through the dirt, but also come out of the other side. A lot of people don't talk about like the scattered bodies of people who have had a lot of bad experiences. I'm not like some kind of like paragon of humanity. I'm not like the most intelligent. I'm not the most charismatic. I'm not the most of any of this. Um, but I've been through quite a lot. I've learned quite a lot and kind of come out the other side about as best as I suppose I could. I'm still alive. I have like a job. I pay taxes, right? It's pretty good, I suppose. My own place, I suppose. Um, Many people who I I hesitate to say I put myself through a lot of the things I went through. I didn't really have things just pop out at me. Generally, I generally put myself in a poor spot and suffer the consequences of that. Um, Regardless, people who have those type of experiences, but also give themselves the tools and the will to pull themselves out, end up becoming much stronger because of it. Um, I would be hesitant to do so if you are too ambitious to forge yourself into a more refined man, to just throw yourself into the mix. Because everybody looks at the katana that's been folded a million times by a master blacksmith, right? But he has failures too. Everybody will have failures on the road to success, and not everybody will make it to the end. I don't even know if I made it to the end, frankly. I'm in a better spot than most other people. That's an unfortunate truth, I suppose. Anyway, long story short, be careful what shit you try. Not saying don't try anything. Not even saying don't try any bad things that you will never ever be able to undo. Um, I would say if you want to live a life without regret, sit down, think about what you want, and decide. I either am going to do this or I'm not going to do this. And with the information I have now, I don't care what the repercussions are because I've thought of it and I'm going to do this. Me. if you can be decisive in even your bad decisions, you will be able to accept your bad decisions for what they are. Yeah. See you guys around, I suppose. Till next time, maybe.